got the talon in here. Something like that. There we go. We're all crammed in here in the corner. Yeah, crammed behind the table, kind of looking around. Got Drake Johnson here. Shot 3DX. Helper Pro Staff Extraordinaire. What's it like following these guys around all summer? You get tired of it?
Yeah, it gets real hot really fast, especially when you go up to Hugo. And thank God we're done up there because that was never again.
Never again.
Nope.
I heard some feedback from Brian Thomas, guy that set that course. He goes, "Oh yeah, we'll beat you up a little bit."
Oh yeah, it was kind of a legal torture, I think, is what it is.
I'll say real quick, let's take a second while we're doing the second line and give them the 2025 Shot 3D Experience schedule. We got about 8 hours to kill on live air, so we're just going to read it off to you.
All unpaid too.
Arrowhead State Park, March 2nd and 3rd. That's Eufaula, Oklahoma. Muddy Bottom ATV Park in Louisiana, March 22nd, 23rd. Flint Oak Hunting Lodge, Fall River, Kansas, April 26th and 27th. Mulberry Mountain Lodge, Ozark, Arkansas, May 17th and 18th. Post Oak Lodge and Retreat in Tulsa, that's the season finale, 3-day event, June 6th through 8th. I can confirm the Oklahoma events will have an ASA qualifier at them. I'm pretty sure the other 3 states will as well. We're still waiting on some clarification and scheduling on that, so there's a pretty good chance you can try a shot event and go try an ASA while you're at it. You can be introduced to all kinds of, maybe it's a fun shoot, maybe it's tournament archery, anything you're wanting, we can get you, a little closer to where you want to be at these events. Drake, I know you shoot a lot of target archery. When you go shoot shot, do you take your hunting bow? Do you take skinny arrow setup? What's the best for long distance?
I just take my hunting bow. I don't want target arrows are too expensive to go busting at 100 yards. I mean, the only time I would do it if I go to Redding or one of those outlaw shoots. And other than that, I just probably bring my hunting bow.
Yeah, I say it does work just a little bit better sometimes with a arrow that you don't. If you're fine shooting it through a deer, you're fine shooting it at a 90-yard target through some trees.
I don't feel like lugging all that ounces up there either on those bars.
See, that's what I do every time, and it's like I gotta quit trying to make a hybrid tournament bow, and I just really need to settle in and shoot this with a hunting bow. Probably a regular, either 204 or 206 diameter arrow, something like that, with a little bit of speed to it. You always want to have some clearance if you can on low-hanging branches, shooting through just a little bit of shrapnel. Nothing too crazy. It's not like a tack event where there's not much chance you can hit an arrow in the target. This is more of we're going to test you as far as distance. We're going to test you as far as can you check your bubble on the side of a hill, that kind of thing. So this is definitely a family community event. Like, you got people out here, you got little kids that'll go on some of the easier trails, and they're staggered, and it's marked pretty well where one of these is going to be 80 and 90 yards, and one of them is going to be 40 to 60 yards and 50 to 75 yards. So it really doesn't matter where you're at in your archery journey. It doesn't matter what your skill level is. There's definitely something that you can, maybe you got a new bow and you go shoot the 40 to 60 yard range, considered a shot just a little bit closer, or you might do a little better than you expected, and you want to go out there the next time and stretch out the distance a little bit. Or if you go out there and you think, hey, I still need to work on the bow, these events are so good because they have constantly bow shops that are local there. They're bringing their presses, they're bringing their draw boards, they're bringing their arrow saws. So if you're not 100% ready, you can go and get dialed up right there at the event. It's not something like you have to be 100% ready to go. You can show up, and there's a whole bunch of shops that'll, hey, let's put a twist in that yoke, or let's fix your peep side, or something like that. So you got a whole bunch of opportunities to not only better yourself behind the bow, but you can also make the bow shoot a little bit better.
Every shot event I've gone to, I've never been 100% ready. I've been about 80% ready to wing the rest of it.
Most of the time you bring your arrows home, though, right?
Yep, most of them. If I run out of room on the sight tape, I use my bubble.
That's what it's down there for. So these are these are events that you might not ever expect to take an animal at 80 yards, but if you go to them and you prepare for them, you're going to know what your bow is capable of doing at 70, 80, 90 yards. And that's, I've bow hunted quite a few years, and I've never had the chance to harvest an animal that far. But if it ever came down to it, I've at least got some experience doing it. It's not I think he's at 78. Let's see what that'll look like.
Must feel like Josh Bowmar shooting an ostrich at 140, then go
yeah.
right ahead. But
Well, if you're Josh Bowmar and you can get arrow clearance off your scope that far, more power to you, bud. If you practice that far and you can wad them up in a pie plate, I think you're more than qualified to do it. But shooting in your backyard at a pie plate at 80 yards is not a live animal moving. So this gives you guys a chance that, hey, you might not want to try that on a live animal, but we're going to give you the opportunity to test that theory. We're going to let them find out. Got all our guys going down there to pull arrows for you. We're right in the middle of our second line. We got more people, looks like more people flowing in the door there. So
definitely a lot busier today than it was yesterday.
Yeah, the weather definitely hurt us a little bit yesterday, but that's archery. That's part of it. It's usually an outside sport, so on days like this, we're blessed to be able to be inside, climate controlled, no ice on the ground, no wind, no rain coming down. So we'll see. It's gonna be a lot bigger turnout today than it was yesterday, I think. Like I said, somebody came in here earlier, Greg, and just said there's more people in this room now than there is the entire trade show, and it kind of it goes to show that people want to see archery. Like, they'll peek their head in their door out here. If anybody out there hears this, come on in and talk to a few of these people. We got representatives here from different clubs, different organizations. You've got some manufacturers here. There's people that are connected in the archery industry, and no one's trying to sell you anything. They've got all kinds of raffle tickets and giveaways and prizes and anything you want to throw money at. But really, we just want you to come out and shoot your bow. Like that, it's what it all comes down to. We'll worry about what arrows you're shooting later, and we'll worry about, selling you a new sight or a set of strings. And if you don't need to buy anything, they're giving stuff away here all day long. I mean, there's more giveaway tables than I could point a camera at right now. All you got to do is come out and be here, be a part of it. There's Jeremy right there on camera. That's one of our shot owners and kind of facilitators of this giant traveling circus that they've built over the past couple of years. Huge shout out to Jeremy and Tim and Brian for letting the Oklahoma ASA be a part of that. We're more than happy to commingle and rub elbows and stuff like that. I think it's going to be something that we get to go showcase what the ASA is about in front of people. Have you thought about what class you're going to shoot this year? Back in K50?
Maybe. I don't know. I was talking to Travis earlier. The more I see him tear stuff up with his short bars, I might switch it up and cut my bars off and go short bars. You never know.
Run the back bar off the front and get a short one for the back.
Yep.
That's kind of how we do it. Throw that 15-inch on the front. Not for ASA, obviously. It's got to be 12 or under. But, yeah, you can take a 15-inch back bar, put it on the front, and run a 10 off the back, and that's your hunting rig right there. So people say, what length of stabilizers do you buy? It's like, well, 30 or 27 out the front, 12 or 15 on the back, and then when it comes time to hunting season, 15 on the front and 12 on the back. So it's not competition legal for the ASA. They do have a 12-inch max stabilizer rule for our short bar classes, but when it comes time to spending money, it's nice to know you can do something and shoot at tournament archery-wise as a back bar, and then when it's time for October, you just switch them around, and you've got everything you need. That's worth its weight in gold, knowing that's like you already have everything you need. You just got to switch it around a little bit. And, stabilizers aren't cheap, but once you get them dialed in, it's something that's going to make your bow hold better. It's going to make your bow aim better, and it's going to make it execute better.
K50 was fun. I want something more of a challenge, no lens, something. It was fun, but it got kind of boring after about the 6th or 7th event.
Yeah, we had a lot of new people in K50 this year. Traditionally, it's been more of a semi-pro class where you don't see nearly the turnout. This year, we had a lot of guys move up into it, so we had some new blood in the class. You always have Haskell talking about new blood in archery. So you got some guys coming out that's like, hey, I think I want to take a poke at 50, and that doesn't mean that all the targets are at 50 yards. You might have some down in the 30s. You might even have a few down in the 20s, but it is a little bit longer course, a little bit maybe shoot it a little conservatively, or you just go out there and aim for the bleachers. Swing for the bleachers on all 20, and whatever happens, happens.
Hold the gas down to see the checkered flag is pretty much some people in that class.
Yep, you got to have a good day, because you go to the Pro-Ams, they're shooting 20, 24 up both days. Got to be 48 up on the weekend to sniff the podium.
And 9 times out of 10 they don't have to aim at them. The arrow's too scared. It's going to miss. They're going to break it anyways. It just goes in the 12 for them.
Yep, that's that's part of it, man. I've had some pretty good kickouts last year, running 120 in the nose and bumped it up to 140, and they weren't nearly as ugly. So front of center, point weight does a lot, cuts the wind, keeps the kickouts to a minimum. Not necessarily something that you have to run if you don't have the poundage or the draw length to push it. But if you do, if you're going to shoot 70 pounds and 29, 30, 31 inches, you can put some real zip on an arrow with 200 grains in the nose of it.
Especially if you run the Smith Brothers points, you'll probably blow through the other arrow before it glances out.
I say shout out to Smith Brothers. They are a company that makes, I believe, push rods. Pistons, push rods, something automotive.
Something for engines.
They're archery fanatics, and when they're not doing their car business, they're making customized, hardened archery points, and for various different arrow diameters and various different point weight configurations. Those are absolutely some fantastic people to do business with. I've shot rebar in the leg of 3D targets and barely even could tell that point had impacted anything. Whereas traditionally, a regular archery point, if you hit rebar in a leg, it's going to run probably the point and the end of your arrow at the same time. Like it's a lot of force moving pretty quick. So shout out to Smith Brothers. Love to hear from them. Love to get them on the podcast at any time.
I ran one into concrete the other day. I hate to admit it. And the point was fine. The arrow was blowing up.
What happened on that one?
It's a very hot release. Shooting it. Put it this way, the Galantine style of shooting them hinges.
Yep. Are you traditionally more of a hinge guy than a button, or you like the button?
I always went back and forth for a while. Mainly for indoor, I would try and shoot button, but I could never get totally comfortable. And I tried shooting hinges, but then again, it was more of a comfortability thing. I couldn't figure what was going on, so I figured I would try out the brand Galantine way. And if you have never seen that, go check it out. It's pretty interesting. But that way, I can
give him a rundown of what's his system like. Just a brief overview.
So he shoots a hinge release, but traditionally you would either rotate or pull some way to make that hook rotate on that move.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I was never able to comfortably get it to rotate. But the way he shoots it is, he shoots them real hot, and he'll keep his thumb on the peg the whole way through. And he's done either one of two ways. So he'll either sit there and pull and relax that thumb so it'll kind of rotate a little bit, or one of the more classic ways he's done it is he'll do the same thing, but then he takes that pinky, wraps it around on a pinky, on a fourth finger, and puts some pressure on that pinky and takes pressure off the thumb, and then it goes.
There you go.
So that's the way I've started to do it, but if you guys ever want to try it, be careful. It is very, very hot.
You get that pinky involved, and that hinge goes off a lot quicker.
Yeah, but I've done it just because you may run the risk of breaking an arrow, but to me, I can pull harder, get the bow to settle down a little better, and have stronger shots.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that traditionally are you pushing into the bow, or are you more static, or are you actually trying to bend the axles and rip that thing apart?
My bow arm is pretty static. I'm not doing no pushing, nothing. I'm not trying to rip it apart, but I'm keeping it enough to where the dot will settle down and I won't come off the back wall at all. So I wouldn't say I'm too static enough, but I'm not super aggressive trying to rip the bow in two pieces.
There you go. Everybody's got just a little bit different kind of push and pull to it, and a lot of it depends on how heavy your bow is. Like, I like to load mine up to where it's a little shaky, but it deadens out when the arrow goes. So I sacrifice aiming based on the weight, but I'm really liking what's happening after the arrow leaves. That's kind of some of it's forgiveness of the bow, some of it's just the arrow agreeing with the tune. Other times it's just like, man, it's just too heavy to move out of the ring once that goes. If I can get it there and make it go, it's going to stay there. It's not going to get real jumpy. Some people have a different theory to it. Like, you listen to Bodie Turner talk about having a light bow. It's always coming back to center. might run 4 ounces on the front and 8 on the back. I'm like, that is the ultimate flex. You see guys out here running 34 on the back and 28 on the front. It's like that bow weighs 13 pounds. You know, just having to hold it up for 20 shots on a 3D course. And you got Bodie over here, never running a bunch of point weight, just coming back to center. Like that is.
But it also all depends on your shot style too. Like, you know, some guys that run heavy bows, they may have a way more aggressive, you know, shot style, and the bow they're shooting may not want to be pulled real hard into with lightweight. So it all depends on, you know, how your shot is, how the bow reacts to that pressure being. So what may work for Bodie may not work for you, and if it may even be broad water and run nothing on that front bar. But then again, there's no right or wrong answer. It all depends on what you guys like to run and how you want to shoot that bow.
Yesterday. Might. I don't squeeze them off. Here, I'll let you sit here. I'm gonna run the camera. Let you and Drake do some talking. Hop in there.